What is up, YouTube? Today we are live. We're gonna go through a few chart requests. I'm gonna send it in the Discord, so we'll be covering that. Also, of course, taking a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, NASDAQ, maybe a few major stocks. Let's just see what the market has to offer. I already have a few things drawn in a few charts, maybe some possible scenarios, some trade scenarios that could happen this stream. So we'll see how that goes. But first of all, let me start by sharing the stream. The Chartsmith. Hello, he's saying. So, welcome to the stream, Chartsmith. He's also actually in the call right now.
What's up?
I mean, it has been a long time since we have streamed together. We used to do so all the time, though. So we can spar a bit about some charts. I have a different
Yeah,
opinion. We'll see.
definitely.
Okay, let me start making some movement now. Need to share it in the Discord. That's what I'm gonna be doing now. Movement now. Need to share it in the Discord. That's what I'm. There we go. Share it into the Discord. Now I'm gonna do one more thing. I actually want to post a bit more regular on X, so I'm also gonna share in there. There we go. Beautiful. Everything's set. We're ready to go. Just quickly gonna start on Bitcoin. I have shared my views in the Discord, so this chart should look familiar for the people that are in the Discord watching right now. But I'm gonna enlighten it a little bit more with some context why I would be looking at these possible scenarios. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's take a look at the 4 hour on Bitcoin, but let's zoom a little bit out. I'm not gonna go over this whole picture one more time, but what is happening in this move, because that is really relevant. We were still bearish unless we gained this high right here. Of course, this is a liquidity hunt. This is not really a break, and that's why we started accumulating here and we actually broke our high that was supposed to bring us down more. Just because we accumulated here, we didn't break the low with that convincing of power on the highest time frame that this pullback is valid. We didn't see that candle opening and closing. No, a lot of wicks here, which also makes sense because to the left, this whole accumulation, this was our last pullback before we started breaking towards new all-time highs. That's what we're holding, and that's where we got this whole reaction from. Aminu, hello, welcome to the stream, brother. Good to have you here. After Bitcoin, I'm gonna go through your charts. So we're gonna do SUI, we're gonna do AVAX, and also Link. But what we did is we did get a little short squeeze up. It looked like we found a lot of resistance here, which at the time we did, and the time to short was also right here, but we didn't get the short. We kept holding our lows and continuing up. What's up? AI Myths Uncovered. Welcome to the stream, brother. How are you doing? I haven't seen you before. Are you new here? Did you find me for the first time? Let me know. So this would also be an interesting part to test back because it's basically this was resistance, right? You flipped it into support and that's what kept you up as well. Now we did actually test it, so I'm gonna remove it right now because I do think if we come back here, this would not be that relevant because we've also tested it back. It's still support and resistance, but because of the liquidity laying below, like we can see right here, I do think this will not hold and we can just continue down, grabbing this liquidity and then entering this point of interest. That's why I'll remove that line there. We're just continuing up, making higher highs, higher lows, and then we actually formed a range here. And I just uploaded in the Discord. I uploaded episode 4, which consists of a pretty long video about range trading. So about when the market consolidates, um, how everything's happening between these consolidations, how you can read it, and maybe also get a play in those consolidations. I'm in your Discord. These. What's up, brother? Good to have you in the stream. Okay, I'm doing fine, by the way. How about you? I'm actually doing amazing. Um, I have a lot of planned in the next coming 3 weeks. I plan on doing literally um, 3 videos a day. I'm also gonna try and live stream every day. I have a lot of time in the coming 3 weeks, so we're gonna absolutely smash the markets. So why these scenarios in the chart that I've drawn here right now? Well, we had this distribution and we did place a short here, but our entry got actually front ran towards our technical targets, which would be those lows. I can quickly show you what happened here and why I would take that short there. Well, of course, the high time frame, as we've just discussed, this was our third tap, right? And because she came up grinding like this, bit squeezing as well, it was on a Monday. That's also great. It was just prior towards London opening. That's also a confluence you have to keep in mind. So when we got the third tap, and we know when we do get it, when you go back inside your range, like drawn in here, so when you take this high out, but you straight away push back inside your range, you want this high to be resistance. You want it to be protected so we can react off it and move down. So if you look locally, by quickly just drawing in your market structure, a lot of this will clarify up because you have a high, a higher low, and your higher high. Right now I am using the 1 minute. That is because the 1 minute looks pretty clear to me. And this pool, yeah, it's just sometimes the 1 minute doesn't look clean on crypto, but now it does, so I will use it. And when you have these fine-tuned entries, you also want to use it. So our expectation order flow in this 1 minute trend is another higher low for another higher high. Expectational order flow, right? But when you start to flip that, so in this case, a change of character, your order flow shifts from bullish to bearish, because this part had to bring you to new highs, because that is following your expectational trend. It failed to do so, but it did give us a reaction, which is great for more short confluences. I'll get into that more in a bit. So the purpose of this test was to create new highs. When we leave open our highs after we've just really grabbed something significantly to the left, which of course is that high time frame swing high, okay, we now have signals. If we do start to flip this level, our order flow is switched to bearish and we need liquidity from the bottom. I would also say you need major liquidity from the bottom. And why? Because this little part is not fractal. No, this is literally your high time frame swing. So you need major liquidity from the lows, or you at least need to test something majors from the lows. It could have been this part right here, because this is what brought you towards that new high there. So you would already have some decent targets to short towards too. Now, let's not make this too long, because this already sounds like literally an educational video. And I do want to go over all of these charts, but already 10 minutes about talking about Bitcoin. So this part had to bring us up. As soon as we flip that, it becomes a breaker. Your demand becomes a breaker and it becomes resistance. So you basically have this. You make a new lower low, so now you can expect a lower high for another lower low. As you can see, we did get front ran, and even maybe more locally I should have been more active at this level right here. While we open and close below this wick right here, this is 1 minute structure, so I also want to see a open and close on the 1 minute below our level, which we did, and we did test this back. So looking at scalping wise, your entry would have been here, and you could have easily traded towards this liquidity from a scalping perspective, which we did. So, but that's not what I did. It was really early at the time. I just placed my order on the breaker, stop loss of course above the protected high. This made us new lows, and in a downtrend we protect highs and we break lows. So that's where you want to have your stop loss. The masses have been already stopped out all the way to the left, so you have your stop loss at a place market makers could possibly protect, and that's what you want to see as well. But we got the nasty front run, and that's also part of the game, you know. You just have to deal with it, and it's fine. And your technical target would be the opposite side of your range, because this is a liquidity schematic, and your target of that liquidity schematic, which is also explained in the range trading video in the free Discord, is the range low. Rawi, let's go. Yes, sir, we are live. Dieter 13, why make it so complicated? Well, I'm trying to explain it in a way it makes sense. Look, for me, if I just analyze it, I want to crawl in the thoughts of the retail people and also the market maker people. I really want to know what's going on into the market. That's also what I like about trading for myself, like really figuring out, because why is something tested, why, etc., etc. You know, that's all what I want to know, and that's also the way I analyze. So I did go really into depth in this part. I could have made it real simple, but I also want to give out some education and some explanation about why I draw certain things in and how. So I hope that makes sense to you. You always show the quality of what you're doing even when you want to rush. You deliver a good content. I really appreciate that, Aminu, because there's some things I've been thinking about, and that is I take way too long per analysis per crypto coin or NASDAQ, and that is because I literally explain everything what's going on, and um, I just talk what's going through my head, right? Literally how I'm talking and explaining this chart to you. That's literally uh, what's going on inside my head and how I see the charts. So I appreciate you calling that value because it is. Well, that's a little breakdown of this, but I'm here to analyze some charts and possibly look at some live plays we could enter in. So I am gonna go over this quickly. If everyone does have a question about a certain thing I do, then feel free to ask so because I'm happy to explain it. But I would do want to go through some charts, or else I'm literally streaming for 5 to 6 hours before I have gotten through all of this list, and that's not in my schedule today. So you could say on the 1 hour it is up until proven otherwise. This is what brought us to new highs again, and this is also what you want to hold for in order to continue that trend upwards. But if you take a look at this red box right here, I have that drawn in, and we actually front ran with this distribution, we front ran that supply. So it could have been that we put this whole distribution in, grabbed the bottom, went over into accumulation just to touch that, and now we can release price towards the downside. That's an option. Where's this box coming from? It's coming from right here. This is what brought us up. That's what you had to hold to keep that momentum up. But no, you flipped it, and this is pretty much your last little pullback before your aggressive expansion that took out this low. It's also what we tested. This is also where manipulation happened. So a quick liquidity grab from the market to then continue downwards. So all in all, really relevant level that brought you down once before to completely new lows to now give you a reaction again. So we'll see locally what happens there. I do not like Bitcoin right now in terms of day trading it, just because this was amazing to day trade, but when you go over it one more time, it just becomes a little bit sketchy. So I'm gonna look at it in simple market structure terms. We've made new highs. If we do manage to flip this level without touching our demand, I am interested in shorts right here, of course on confirmation. So I want to see that local change of character to play towards the downside. And if we do come here, I'm curious if we are gonna see some price action towards the upside. So people react. So market makers are accumulating in the box you've drawn in, because this is just a box to me. But who knows? The big people that push price here, liquidity hunt, pushed it towards the upside. The people that caused all of that manipulation to happen, if price comes back there, are they willing to defend their orders to keep pushing price up, or have they all released their orders here and they will not be defending this and will keep continuing downwards? So in terms of day trading, I'm gonna skip Bitcoin today. I think a lot of alts do look way better, and I think will give us better setups as well. Check something. Okay, let's go over your coins, Aminu. Let's start that link and see what happened and see what's happening. I think we have gone over the high time frame a lot. I like the way that you always request pretty much the same charts. That's because I think you love trading those charts. You like how they move, and that's why you keep trading them. That's also why I just have a selective list to my right instead of trading the 1,000 coins, crypto coins that are out there. So, Link, what has happened? On the higher time frame, this, I literally said it when price was right here. It's a TP moment. There are short opportunities laying around because after such a massive expansion, you are going to get a reaction. Of course, it makes sense. You've reached your goal of making a new higher high. With a lot of strength we did, but now we've made a swing high and we want to correct to continue our expectation order flow on the higher time frame, which would be another higher low for another higher high. Could either be here by just accumulating here and then shooting up again, would be really aggressive, but a normal way would just be to continue towards our structure right here that brought us all the way up, connect it, build something right here, and then continue up again. Because after such a quick big liquidity grab on a swing high, we need to grab a few things off the lows for in order to continue. So high time frame I am bullish, but on the high time frame for really big swings I want to look in this BOI for sure. Locally, a distribution right here. You can clearly see those three tabs I always talk about. This is also in episode 4 of range trading in the Discord. Um, this is a distribution. This is market makers pushing price down. You're basically consolidating, you're grabbing liquidity off the highs while your third tab grabs that major swing high. Such a great confluence of continuing the trend towards the downside. Um, so what are we doing now? Because this was a consolidation, I want to see this as my push towards the upside. So basically your structure that brought you to new highs, I want it to be this part. This is just a consolidation block to get that reaction down and building up more liquidity here, as we can see right now. You keep on taking those lows with wicks, with wicks, with wicks. It's just grabbing liquidity below those lows until we've tested this demand. In this whole up move, this is the first part that you hold and brought you up towards new highs. So this is where the strength came from in this whole up move. This looks like to me like a bottom that can hold for sure. And we just want to continue in combination with this trend. We also want to continue locally with that trend. This brought us towards new lows. This is the part that gained this right here, or at least make sure it took out the high. But what we did from there left a bunch of liquidity without testing that demand. So from here as well, just building liquidity. So this is a really great point of interest. I do think a lot of volume will be down there as well. Volume area low, okay. Yeah. So let's take out all of these equals, come into our demand, and let's see if we can create maybe this local range with our tap, move back up, maybe test demand or grab extreme liquidity, and continue trading upwards towards this. We want to see enough liquidity taken here on the bottom so we can start trading towards that liquidity on the highs that we have just created. And it makes sense to do so because of our high time frame swing and this swing as well. So locally we need to be sharp at that liquidity game. Do we have enough grabbed here to start moving towards all of those highs? Yeah, that was basically link here for bearish scenarios. I think you need to look at losing this level. I think it's a hard level to lose, but if we do start to lose it, we could see price action fill anyways and go towards this part right here, which is also a more high time frame swing structure. So let's see what happens there. Local trading scenarios in the chart though. Okay, let's go to AFEX. Let me actually check if these were the three you requested. Yeah, AFEX, Link, and SUI. Link done. AFEX. AFEX high time frame is actually looking pretty bullish to me. With what we did here and this front run of your last pull towards new highs, then taking it out, creating an accumulation here is really strong to me. And that's also why we saw this retail pennant just breaking above as well, because we have grabbed enough here so we would not need this local liquidity for an order to move up. No, we actually just got that push up. So if we do start to hold this level right here, which is around $26, $27, then I think we can just continue higher. If we do lose this level, our last pullback before we broke out of all of this resistance, if we do start to lose that level, then you could expect price action to come here and we can grab all of this liquidity and we can try again from here. This is a market maker block, so you would really be sharp if price does come here. But it's far away from it now. But it is a scenario we have to draw in. There we go. We are against resistance right now. I am more looking at this supply zone, because what we could do is lure in a bit of shortness, take it out, and then get your relief move. So I do not like when we front run a supply like this. That just means to me creating a little bit more liquidity to then take out, fill up even more orders, then continuing that direction. What are we doing? Well, this just have to catch your eye straight away. These are literally triple equal lows. They are a magnet to the price. It's literally a big sea of liquidity that's laying around here. So what would have to happen for an order to trade towards this juicy liquidity? I do not think this is a range. I do think this is one, of course. High time frame one with your starting points being at your high and your low and you're moving in between them. So you're building up that liquidity from the lows and above the high. It can either go both directions now. It's either we hold this 1 hour structure to continue upwards, take out the range high, test the supply, and then move towards those equal lows. or we could start move towards the equal lows that we can trade towards that range high. So let's start drawing in those scenarios. If you are enjoying the stream, make sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel, because we are trying to push more of this content. And when people do like the stream gets pushed out to more people. More interaction, more joy, more information. Let's see. Locally. Of course, this is an uptrend, but when you're locally trending down, you want to draw in your range from bottom to top. So locally we actually have a range. We have this demand. I'm drawing it from down here, but it's also this part right here, but it's just a big thing on the screen. I do not want it, and it doesn't really matter if you draw it from here because it is already tested. Okay, with deviation 1 in mind, we need to look for that accumulation. Sad to see we took this out, but the way we're building up this still looks good for that accumulation, that possible 1, 2, 3, to continue towards that part, which also aligned with this bias right here to start trading towards that swing high there. And then we could also continue towards the equals. Because making liquidity like this is we need liquidity from the high. Is this enough? Then we would start to see a rotation right here. Reject our high like that to continue towards the low. And if that is not enough liquidity, we are going to go towards that swing high. And then we could possibly see the rotation towards all of this liquidity. So we either tap extreme demand and flip up, or we take out extreme liquidity and flip up this part. Because this is your first pullback before you continued up. This is amazing how we're coming down. That most likely looks to me we are going to continue up, take out all of this liquidity. This in combination with our breaker here as well. This is what brought us towards those new lows. That's also what we had to break for an order to go bullish, because we were still bearish here. We broke it. What is the part that broke it? This demand right here, your last pullback before you broke that structure and you made new higher highs. We're slowly coming down into that point of interest. So that is really nice. This is just a really great long PY. Scenario 1, 2, and 3. With this much liquidity here, I'm not interested in shorting. Would have to see something like this. Then I'm interested in shorting, because we're taking liquidity from the bottom right, so we want to look for trading towards that liquidity on the highs. And when we have taken it on the highs, we want to see if the market gives us reasons to trade towards liquidity on the lows again. And now it's looking like it gives us reason to take out more liquidity on the highs. Locally, we're building liquidity. So in this local part, you now want to identify, is there enough liquidity taken on the lows for an order to continue upwards. This brought you into that great POI, which we straight away got a reaction from. This is also the part that made us break bullish. Your first pullback before you broke that downward spiral, the downward trend. So you could say expectational order flow is after creating a higher high is a higher low for more higher highs. So I expect nothing less from the market right now than to just continue this trend towards the upside and continue to take out all of this liquidity. That's what I'm expecting from AFEX right now. Last pullback before new lows. Do I want to see it this deep? It definitely doesn't have to. I think we could also hold at this level, just continue aggressively, which is a little bit what I prefer right now, or else it's just testing the supply, creating a bit more of those highs, maybe trading below the low once more, and then continuing. This is definitely one we have to watch here for sure. So let's see how we come down here, because then you could already have your first trade opportunity for me of the day. If price does hold this level, we can continue. And if not, then I want to see us sweeping either this and holding this low, because it would still not break your expectational trend. Because between this low and this high, this is all internal. And we could literally do anything here. Still leave this low open and trade towards the high, because that is expectational order flow. So let's wait and see and find out. Definitely going on the watch list here. Quickly check done. Oh man. For Tom, we would have to hold this low to continue upwards. And we are building a little bit of this retail pattern, so I wouldn't even be surprised if we swept this low, protect this low, and then get that reaction upwards. Then I'm so interested in longs. If we leave this low open, that brought us to new highs, but locally we take out this low, because we have the swing low, the swing high. We're building up liquidity on the highs. Maybe taking out this low is enough to continue towards the highs. Or even just holding now could be enough. It would depend on how Bitcoin looks locally right now. Sure, hold this and we can still move upwards. We do not have to take that out, because it's grabbing a lot of liquidity by itself now as well. But I would prefer taking this out. And that's why I also have an alert there. Okay, we're gonna do Sui. Okay, I'm gonna press my record button on the OBS. Let's see if I can try and record this as well. So if I'm lagging, you can tell me please in the chat, because then I'll just stop recording, right? So we'll see. Let's do Sui. Okay. So going into Sui, let's start actually at the weekly time frame. 3-day. When Sui was right here, we were talking about that possible accumulation, those creating those tabs below the lows one more and continuing up. While we got that push up while also breaking structure. This brought you to new lows, break that, and we can continue upwards. This was your market maker demand, because after taking that much liquidity, you've made your first higher low before you broke structure towards new highs. From here on, we actually started to break bearish, and we were trading towards that market maker demand. But I think the purpose of just this internal break and going towards this is to create a high time frame range, to extend our options to buy here and sell here, because this is a really big range of almost 50%. So there's a lot of opportunity to sell above here and then also buy down here and trade towards the other way of the range, of course, because that's what consolidations do. This to me is a distribution. We did get it because, well, swing high, swing low. We front ran the swing high actually, creating more sellers into the market than taking it out, creating a sea of liquidity for market makers to short here. That's also what they did because they started to break structure. We have made a new lower low. And knowing that, we can now expect a lower high. After a lower lower high is expected towards new lower lows. Objective complete. In a downtrend, we draw our range from bottom to high. So with this high time frame range being in a distribution, we can also create internal range and maybe accumulate from there and overpower the distribution anyways. Because do we have to come all the way back here towards this build liquidity? Not really, and that is because we have already tested something amazingly and it brought us straight away towards new highs, so we really do not have to take all of that liquidity. So we're going to create the liquidity ourselves, creating a low, a high, taking out that low, of course, is our first deviation in our range trading. I thought this was a great level. We respected it here, also kept it up here, brought you down, you flipped it as well, tested it, and went back up. So that's why I wanted to draw this in. So now there's two things you have to do. You have to identify the amount and you have to identify an extreme liquidity, because that could be your third tap going higher. And of course, the other scenario is one more below this one. Well, I'm not even going to look at the first scenario I've told you, looking at the demand and finding the extreme liquidity. I will not even do that. That is because, first of all, this is all liquidity. It is all tested away. And yes, we can use this as extreme liquidity. But look to the left. Look at this green box. Why is this drawn in? It's because it's a demand zone. This brought you to a massive expansion towards the upside, and we did not even manage to test it right here. We built a lot of liquidity on the way up till there's enough taking on the highs, and then we basically reverse the game again and we need liquidity from the lows. And while we front ran this, makes it really interesting to go back to this low, take that out, and if we do get longs right in this green POI, man, you can maybe even trade towards new all-time highs from there. Maybe. Because that would be an amazing bottom to continue trading upwards without actually completing this distribution. It was such an aggressive V shape up that we're just getting a reaction from the market to build a bit of more liquidity because we just took some to continue our trends. We can go over the 4-hour locally. This brought you to new highs. That's also what wanted us to bring to new highs, which you can see. You can see the reaction. But seller stepped in. We've made a lower low. We've made a change of character here. And now our order flow is switched bearish. There's enough trend liquidity to target here. I do not see, except this one, something to hold price up. There's still something untested here. It's the same zone for this one, but those are just parts we get that reaction from, right? You have to create this local little uptrend for in order to create that lower high. We want to see after a lower low, a lower high for new lower lows, but you have to uptrend internally to do so. So that's why you have few reaction points. If we did not have these reaction points, then this move could have just been one move. So this would be your supply as well. You can also call this your breaker, but I'm not gonna draw it in because it's gonna make the chart a bit messy. So testing that, we can possibly look locally for some shorts here. Go 1 hour. Right now we're just building liquidity on the highs. I want this retail liquidity to get taken because a lot of retail players are just shorting here. And I do not want to trade with them, with the retail players, because your stop loss would be above these highs. But that actually makes it interesting for them to take out and then reverse price while not giving a lot of retail players chance to make profit. This is also great, this little part. We're not even trading above it. Look how aggressive we're reacting from that supply zone. We do not even have to test all the way here. Now you tapped it and you started trading down. Also, this was your last pullback before you broke this structure, which was at this time pointing up. And that's why we get such an aggressive reaction from it. So what I would be waiting for here, let me see what this wick actually is because it's really ugly. This is what I am waiting for Sui. And are we going to, this is your swing demand and this will be your fine tuned. But are we going to leave open all of this liquidity on the highs? It could also be interesting to scalp towards that liquidity. We need to take liquidity out on the bottom to start rolling towards the highs and then we'll see what the market does. So I would even be down to scalp this scenario here. Okay, Sui, done. Aminu, these were all your chart requests as well, so If you have any questions about them, let me know. It's just coming part of our trend liquidity. Never a valid reaction for us to take any longs here. So then you're just going to continue down. It's on also not yet. I hate the way this came down. If it did something like this, it would be interesting to play it, of course. You do not have that. This is on the 1 minute, such a small candle. Yes, you're getting reaction from it, but still have my alert on this part right here. I want with this trend liquidity bit of a shoot towards the downside, while preferably holding this demand here, which comes back to your low to the left. And then gaining your old low right here and continuing up would be amazing. That is what I would be looking at. Let's get a sneak peek at the NASDAQ. Why is okay? Holding this low makes sense. Lured in buyers into the market, took them out. We made a new high. So if we do protect it, we can trade higher. Just no local entry here. Maybe right here I see actually. But I just started streaming then. No SMT, but that's okay. Flip this level. Luring in buyers into the market. Taking it out. This brought us to new lows. So if we flip that, our order flow is switched as well. New higher high, higher low. Yeah, well, this was just a good continuation, especially with your expectation going towards this high, right? Because that was just your trend after making a new high with manipulation of setting this low. You can continue upwards trading your trend. Let me check if the RR was actually really decent. You could have even put your stop loss right here. Still your last pullback before that flip, but I think it would really depend on the RR. This is what I would have targeted for sure. Your R is pretty great here, so I would actually go for a bit more here. This. There we go. Did you take out all of your targets? You did actually. This is basically all of your internal liquidity hunt on the NASDAQ. It's because this is what switched us to bearish again. We were still up, continuing, till sellers stepped in here. And that's also why we're getting a reaction here. They stepped in here. This was still extreme liquidity. But if we did hold this one, we could have seen a reaction here. Sellers trying to push the market down again. Then again, we're still in this buy model now because we're leaving this open. Manipulation here before pushing up. So it's expected to hold here and continue. Okay. Quickly over NQ. Yeah, this was unfortunate. Just after macro as well. 15 over 2. Yeah, I just started the stream then. Thanks. No problem, Aminu. Um, quickly go over the pairs I am watching now. Why is ADA in there? Oh wait, I put it in the object tree. There we go. I've just actually made a YouTube short about this one. Well, your time frame trend being down and the way you're coming up. Is this a sustainable low? Is there any big people stepping into the market here? No, of course not. Look at all of these lows together. So it's expected that we just grab enough liquidity here, follow our high time frame order flow, and continuing down on ADA. Then after we take all of this liquidity, we can try again. Order flows down, make a new low, try again. Because every time we make this pullback, we're trying again to break the highs, right? But if sellers step in and fail to do so, we're gonna make new lows. This is your part that we can try again. Are they failing? We're making new lows. Are they then winning? We switch trends. Let's just hope on ADA we will leave this low open. We're gonna a bit of a reaction back, grabbing all of this build liquidity, maybe even rejecting here, which would be your local breaker, and that is because this was your pullback before new highs. This is also what we had to hold to create new highs, but we failed to do so, so it's relevant to test back, which we have not done now. So most of the time when we just grind down like this, we're gonna get that pop up and your continuation down. So let's see if we just start building that trend liquidity on the lows. Ton, I want to be sharp when we do grab that low. That just activates, if we get a reaction from here, it activates a trade towards this level. Or at least this here. You can already have enough RR targeting this. Okay, I've been live streaming for almost an hour, so I think that will be enough as well. I am gonna go to the gym in a little bit. Actually, I think straight after this stream. So that's what I'm gonna do. I've drawn in the scenarios, I've put in the alerts, but then again, if I'm at the gym and something does happen, then I'm just gonna let it go. You need to have peace with missing trades as well, because if you do not have peace with missing certain trades, just like I've just started streaming and actually a play on the NASDAQ was right there, well, missed it because it just started the stream and it was not created there yet, right? So it's unfortunate, but well, it happens, you know. Accept it and keep continuing with what you're doing. I was just looking at Cake USDT, looking for a long around 2.46. Can you check it? Sure. CageSignals.com is coming live. No, I'm kidding. Let's check it out. Let's first mark your 2.46. Now let me start to analyze this. First of all, I do not like these random coins. I know Cake, it's not that random coin, but look at the chart. Look at how long we're actually moving between these two things. Of course, a move can come really soon to either go towards this low or go towards that high, of course, but it's not all that clean. I would like to see you trade a bit more on those AFAXs, those SUIs, and and those coins because they are more liquid and they are easier to trade. Not trading is also trading. That's 100% true. Okay. Check the volume. I think volume is important indicator here. Okay, first look on the higher time frame, the weekly. These things are not bad, right? What you do here. You sweep the listing price of Binance. You create a big pump, creating a lot of buyers into the market, and then taking all of those buyers out again, gaining structure and continuing our trend towards the upside. This is a range in the first place, but I am actually going to draw in another one because these crazy wick. And if I look to the right a little bit more, because this broke upwards, so you wanna tap. You wanna actually draw in your range like this. And what makes sense right now? We have this high time frame range with 0 deviations, right? We have the high and we have the low, and we're just grinding in between them with no clear direction because we haven't taken out either one of these. Well, because it is such a high time frame range, we're creating ranges in ranges because it's absolutely absurd that we have a range with like 60%, right? It's the same with Sui. Sui also created a range within a range. We had a high time frame distribution here, but we could create that local accumulation to keep trading up as well on Sui. And it's the same a bit here as well. Not that we're making an accumulation, but on the higher time frame, if you look at this, tap, you're trading up, you broke upwards. So you want to draw in your range from high to low. I'm actually gonna move this middle line. This is your range, and you can, instead of seeing the interaction at these points, you can see the interaction at these highs. So that means this range is respected, not this one, because we're actually doing something with these highs and lows on the range that I've currently drawn in. And if you wait for these points, then it's already too late because these should be your high time frame targets. What do we have here? A possible distribution with crazy amounts of trend liquidity below. Looking for something on the daily that is not tested back yet, but it looks like literally everything is tested except this here. This is the last one I'm doing, by the way. Cake for Aminu. Then I'm gonna end the stream. So a reaction is expected, of course, but a reaction can also just be the point to create that local trend to continue the downtrend. But we'll get to this in a second. I first want to see where is all of our volume in this range. Look at that. This looks okay, a lot of volume at the high of the range and not a lot of volume at the bottom of the range. So where are we trading the most? In the volume, of course. So is it possible that we are filling up big orders here on the highs to push price down. It's definitely possible. Because look at this, right? This is a random project. You're not excitingly bullish. Even after a pump like this, you needed to go towards that low again. That's not strong. So I also want to draw in with this, with keeping this in mind, with the distribution, making your lower high, and actually we're trading downwards now. This is what brought us to new highs. We straight away took it out, put in a lower high, and kept moving down as well. I'm not expecting like a big reaction from here to bring us up all the way new highs, because why would it? So this on the daily time frame brought us all the way towards new lows. Then we have this that caused it. This is also in combination with your point of control. And if you look at the daily time frame, are we closing above this level? No, we are not. This is just a wick, and a wick is not a break. A wick does the damage. But look at how we started rejecting down. Also look at this volume. Look at the volume, how we went up right here, and how we actually pushed down. More volume in the pushing down, right? Indicating possibly that we just want to continue down. They were more interested in selling here than buying. So that is not gained, but it makes it a bit more ugly to trade a big wick like this, because you're not gaining this level, and as long as you're not gaining this level, you're also not gonna go towards this liquidity. This bottom is actually definitely not the worst. Made equals, took it out, started trading up from there, but it's what we did after. You have to reverse somehow. That is just building liquidity. And looking for a long around 2.46. Well, after just going through the high time frame now, we're not really strong, and we're wanting to look down. But that doesn't mean you cannot long. Because if we do go to the 1 hour, of course this brought us up. We actually managed to break structure here. And then a lot of strength came from this part because we actually pumped straight away up. So there is a scenario that we are going to get reaction from here. Then how did we leave these lows behind? Because that is really important, and I don't think this is great. No, you have every single low is open here. So that makes this a place for everyone wanting to long because it created such a big push, but you never had any manipulation below. So what then happened here? I have no fucking clue. I don't know why the market just started pumping like that without actually using some of all of this liquidity that we have built to fill up orders. So that makes this feel a little bit like a fake pump, right? Because if you can zoom in on the lower time frame right now, this is the last price action that brought us to that massive pump. And if we were strong in a strong trend because of this big pump, we would hold here and continue moving upwards. But we failed to do so. We actually put in a lower high and we started making new lows, indicating sellers are gaining control. So for now I'm expecting us to reject here and continue towards this trend liquidity down here and then possibly react from here again. The only way for me to take a trade in this area, even with a bottom like this, is if we accumulate. So create a range, high or low, high, take out the low, come back up, take it out one more time, creating that market maker bottom, then I'm interested in longs. But for the rest, it doesn't look that juicy to start longing here. Also, if you want to hold strong, you should hold this. This brought you to new lows. It was your supply. We gained it, so now you want to use it as support. If you failed to do so, the market is not strong and we need to test it back really deep. And that's not what you want to see after a big crazy pump like this. Because it looks like just want to continue that way. Zeldra Sin, hey Cage, been a while. What's up, my brother? Long time no see again. Good to have you. Good to have you back in the stream. Aminu, it's crazy PA. Yeah, for sure. That's what you get with these coins, right? Because they're not that big of a market cap. So, yeah. But then also I want to draw in that long scenario. Good to hear from you. Well, brother, we're back on that grind. We're in the Discord doing well. We are sharing actually a lot of pivot points lately into the Discord. We have absolutely nailing the market. So it's amazing to see that. Last thing, Aminu, if we do manage to flip this, you could look for longs towards this. If we take that out, we really have no reason to go higher and we're just gonna drop. But these are your most juicy targets. You're taking liquidity on the highs till you have enough so, and then you're gonna move towards the liquidity on the lows. Good to hear from you. Always, man. Always. Check CRV out. I'm eyeing on it for a while now. And tell me, how long have you been looking at CRV? I'm curious. Even then, guys, beginning of the year, using the same strats as I'm doing right now. CRV is not that bad. Look at this. Even on the higher time frame, right? 1, 2, manipulation down here. Looks like we can still go higher. No, but to go over it technically, of course, this whole move, we brought new highs. Our order flow is up. This was the last pullback that brought us there. We tested it with market maker accumulation being involved in this part, because that is clear. I'm showing this every single time, it's the same trick. So market maker accumulation. And what did we do from there? I'm curious, right? This daily order block. We front ran it. Okay. Doesn't have to be that bad. That is because look at the way how we went up here as well. It's also by accumulating. Just front running this could mean just not picking a lot of retail orders. It's also the case. In any ways, you were in discount here. This brought us up. This was also probably where your golden pocket and stuff is. It's just a great area of demand because market makers stepped in this whole part. So when price comes back there, they want to protect their orders and push their positions in even more profits. Then you see a pattern like this again on the highs, and that is them selling their orders. But looking at this trend overall, we want to expect that higher low for a new higher high. It combines with our high time frame, and it combines with our lower time frame moving up as well. CRV is the last chart I'm gonna do, brother, because then I need to go to the gym. I need to, yeah. So now you actually have this whole move to look for that higher low for the higher high. And that's actually hard to do, right? Because it could bounce here, it can bounce here, it can even go all the way down here. What should you do? How can you identify those zones that want to bring you up? And what are most likely those pivot points that you are going to switch a trend like this? I must say, volume profile helps a bit in that. And of course zooming in a bit on your local time frame, because you've had this crazy pump, right? Check it out, their daily candle, there is. First thing I want to do is mark this daily candle, because on the highest time frame, like 12 hours, you can also clearly see this is pretty much that pullback that brought you to all the way new highs, and not all of that stuff happening in here. Your highest time frame is what counts. And I am going to extend this. So that is one. Then I see a bit of price action happening here, and this was also an important part, because this is pretty much grindy PA down, but this is really what caused you to move down. This is all one move. And why? Because you never managed to trade towards that 0.5 confirming your swing. So this is all just one move down. So what actually caused us to break this? And I am on the 12th hour, and we can see a little block here with an imbalance above it that took out this high. And if we extend it, that is where we're holding support right now. So it would not be bad for the market to actually give us reactions from here. Let's check it out. I don't usually use the Fibonacci that much, but when you have such little price action information in your whole up move, I do want to use it. And you can see it combines as well with the golden pocket, this zone with your other zone, so you have reasons to look locally for longs. You're building liquidity on the highs now until you have grabbed enough on the lows to start reversing towards all of that on the highs, which is also just your order flow. So zones pointed out. And this is actually funny, right? You had these three taps here, your technical target being at the high, and well, you smashed it. So we accumulated here just to grab this liquidity to continue down. Also buyers are stepping in here. So I do not want to draw in this range with this, because that already has played out. We had the accumulation here that brought us towards our technical target, which was the goal, because now price released towards the downside. So my range on the higher time frame becomes this. Because on the higher time frame you're still trading down, you're drawing in from low to high. Once again, we're also looking for possible longs, so another from low to high. What I don't like about this range is your lack of liquidity. Because if we take a look at why this move went so quick up or down, that is because all of this liquidity, when someone is buying, their stop loss becomes a sell order because they're selling their positions back to the market. And if price hits a sell order, price is going down. That's why this move is so quickly towards the downside. And you basically want the same to happen towards the upside because this is a hard move up. Supply here, supply here, supply here, supply here. Let me turn it around. Swing high, swing low. Distribution, taking out this side. This is what costs to make new lows. Break it, and you have your point towards that. But the move down now is gonna be absolutely hard. Because we're having this as resistance, this as resistance, this is gonna be resistance. The market will have to go through a lot of trouble to push price up from here. So a lot need to be created. So let's check this local picture here to see what's going on there. But this is our first high time frame deviation. Because we can still just do this, calm down, creating that curve I'm just talking about, taking out one more or testing extreme demand or something, and then continue. Then you would have yourself a really good setup as well. Locally. Oh, this price section is not those are not the most beautiful candles. Let me actually quickly check Binance or Bybit, sorry. Yeah, those are better. Pretty much the same. Okay. These are too far from each other to be 3 taps. If you take out the low but you only do this, there's only so little buyers that you're drawing into the market to then take out again. So that is not interesting for them. So I do not want to look this as a range perspective. This is messy though. I don't like what we have built yet, even though price action not the best, sort of a scammy coin, but I do like how it moves when it moves. I do agree with you because the moves it does give are fast and are quick. But as I saw on the higher time frame, it respects price action really well, brother. It's just hard to get a local entry on it because it's yeah a bit of a more ugly chart on the lower time frame. Valid pullback. I think I want to use something arranged like this. It is not easy to read here because a lot of things are happening in here. And I said in the price, the range trading video, market loves to just disrespect market structure when it gets inside a consolidation. And that's exactly what is happening here all the time. You're drawing in buyers, you're drawing in sellers, and you're not really choosing a proper direction, except for what happened here. I'm gonna see this as one move because it is on the higher time frame. And the way we did come down here is bearish. Because you had this retail pattern, right? Except for when you did this. A lot of people thought this is a breakout towards the downside and you actually took out this low. Yes, this is a liquidity hunt. And you have reasons to move towards the opposite side of the liquidity, which are the highs, which is what we did. But also a lot of sellers come into the market and makes it interesting for them to take this high out, while actually leaving your high time frame high open, because everything that's happening in between is internal, but your expectation order flow is still a lower high for a lower low. And because we left this high open, that's not coincidence. It's not coincidence that we created this retail pattern, took it out, and then price started releasing. And right now we're just making lower highs and lower lows. I am expecting that to continue until we reach this low right here. And if we do start to build highs like this, it can actually still become interesting to do something like this. Take out that range low, then target all of this liquidity high. This becomes also a good liquidity high. Then you would have yourself some crazy targets. But right now it's not looking like it wants to go up yet, just because of how we manipulate it here just to push price down. So I want something, because we spent such a long time here to manipulate here, I want us to take that swing liquidity of the low. And if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but those would need to be the confluences for me to take a high probability long trades. Go back to Binance because my drawings are in there. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. And yeah, that just could be a great bottom if we do that. For real, you would have your low, your high, a liquidity hunt, your higher low, and then continue. This brought us to new highs. We've never tested this supply. Started grinding down. You're getting a bit of this bottoming out pattern. So you want to see now that liquidity hunt and then the expansion up. We're still looking at this green box to the left. Unless we really start to lose it, then we're gonna go to the next. So I do not want to look at that. Okay. CRV, brother. Also perfectly tested our supply there. Your last pullback before you made new lows. This is what it did locally. Tap, tap. That's why you rejected here as well. But on the higher time frame, that is a move. Appreciate the insights. Yeah, no problem, man. Zeldris, I think you're not in the Discord, right? And if you are, you should share some of your charts more. Because we used to spar a bit more like a few months back when we were really active. Then we had a bit of a, not a quit session, but a grind session to actually make sure we get a payout on the prop firms, get some more funded accounts, and that's also exactly what we did. Because a lot of people were telling us we were lacking results. Well, the results are here and we're absolutely grinding. I just stopped using it for a while. Okay. Yeah, brother, it's your own choice. Nothing negative can come from it. You can only learn from it. It's absolutely free Discord. I can show you something here. We've also created a basic price action course, pretty much market structure, supply and demand, liquidity, and range trading. Literally the four key things I use in my trading to come to trades and be profitable, basically. And then also the Chartsmith made a video about risk management, which is just as if not more important than the technical analysis. Definitely, I like your group. Well then, I am gonna see you in the future then, Seldris, if you like the group. I'll remember that. Actually, I'm gonna give you a week, Seldris. Within a week, you have your first chart sent in the group. Because if you're telling me you like the group, you have to take action on it as well. So I'm gonna let you take responsibility for that, and I want to see a chart within a week. Let's get on that grind, brother. Alright, that is going to be the stream though. Good to hear Zeldris. I will look forward to it. Yeah, it's time for the gym. It's already pretty late. Already streaming for 1.5 hours again. Well, it happens when you're in the flow, you're in the flow, right? New York just, I actually totally forgot about my other pairs I was watching. Nope. No, stun finally gonna go towards that point would be great. What's Bitcoin actually doing? Trying to break this. Maybe we break it, test this back, just continue that. Easy with the weight. See you soon, champ. Yeah, thank you, brother. I will I won't go easy on the weights, you know. Because if I go easy on them, they will go easy on me. But thank you, brother. I will not get an injury. That's what I'm gonna make sure of. Zeldris, Aminu, the Chartsmith, thank you all for being in the stream. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Cage is out.